The silence of the asteroid belt was usually absolute. It was a cold, heavy silence that pressed against the hull of the Vigilant, a silent reminder that space was vast and indifferent to the life inside the metal ships. Captain Alex Mercer stood on the bridge, his hands clasped firmly behind his back. He stared out the main viewport at the field of floating rocks stretching out into the darkness. The bridge was quiet, save for the soft hum of the engines and the rhythmic tapping of fingers on consoles. It was a boring shift, or at least, it had been boring for the last 6 months. For the United Terran Coalition, the Sol system was a lonely place. 50 years ago, humanity had finally cracked the light-speed barrier and burst out into the galaxy, expecting to find friends and rivals. Instead, they found that the galaxy was already owned. The Galactic Council, a collection of 100 different alien species, had looked at humanity and laughed. They called humans primitive. They called Earth a nature reserve and told the humans to stay in their own solar system until they were civilized enough to play nice with the neighbors. So, humanity sat behind the line of the asteroid belt, building ships and watching the stars. The Sol system became a giant cage. But Alex Mercer didn't feel like a prisoner. He felt like a guard dog. He commanded the Vigilant, one of the heavy patrol boats that watched the edge of the system. "Anything on the sensors?" Sam Alex asked, not turning around. Lieutenant Sam Foster sighed from his station. The young man rubbed his eyes, looking tired. "Nothing, Captain. Just dust and ice. The usual rocks drifting aimlessly. It's like watching paint dry in vacuum." "Be careful what you wish for," Alex said calmly. "Boring means we are alive." Ensign Blake, sitting at the communications station, perked up suddenly. The young woman's headphones were glowing with a soft blue light. She looked confused, tilting her head to the side. "Captain, I'm picking up a signal," Blake said. Her voice was shaky. "It's not from the Mars colony. It's from outside the belt." Alex turned around. His face became serious. "Identify. Is it a trade ship? The Galactic Council doesn't usually send patrols this deep without sending a call first." "No, sir," Blake said. She typed rapidly on her keyboard. "The signature is massive. It's not just one ship. The sensors are reading, wait. That can't be right." "Report, Ensign," Alex commanded, walking toward her console. "Multiple contacts," Blake whispered. "Hundreds of them. They just dropped out of warp speed right on top of us. No warning beacon. No identification signal. They are just there." Sam Foster's console started to beep loudly, a red warning light flashing. "Captain. I have them on visual. Long-range sensors. Oh my God. Look at the size of those things." Alex leaned over Sam's shoulder. On the screen, the black space was suddenly filled with the shapes of massive, jagged ships. They were dark gray, covered in spikes and strange, glowing blue lines. They looked like knives ready to cut into the soft flesh of the solar system. These were not Council ships. The Council ships were smooth and graceful. These were war machines. "Raise shields," Alex ordered, his voice cutting through the rising panic on the bridge. "Red alert. Get the crew to battle stations. Now." The alarms on the Vigilant began to wail, a loud, harsh sound that echoed through the hallways. The crew moved with practiced speed. They had trained for this day for years, hoping it would never come. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission," Blake said. "It's on all frequencies. They are broadcasting to the whole system." "Put it on the main speaker," Alex said. A voice filled the bridge. It was not a human voice. It sounded like metal grinding against metal, deep and terrifying. The language was not English, but the ship's computer translated it instantly. Primitive creatures of soul, the voice boomed. We are the Zoldyck Dominion. Your silence is annoying, and your resources are useful. We do not recognize your claim to this star. We are here to take what is ours. Do not resist. You cannot fight the storm. You will be harvested. The message ended. The bridge was silent for a second. Harvested? Sam Foster asked, his face pale. They want to eat us. They want the planet, Alex said, gripping the edge of Blake's console until his knuckles turned white. They don't care about us. We are just ants in the way of the picnic. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. Alex was thrown to the floor. Sparks flew from the ceiling panels. Report. Alex shouted, pulling himself back up using a rail. They fired a warning shot. Sam yelled. It missed the hull, but the electromagnetic pulse fried our long-range sensors. We are blind, Captain. Engine status? Alex asked. Engines are holding, but the cooling system is fluctuating, Sam replied. Alex looked at the main screen. The Zoldyck fleet was moving. They were not slowing down. They were heading straight for the asteroid belt, and beyond it, lay Mars and Earth. The alien ships were huge, casting long shadows over the small human patrol boat. They aren't stopping to talk, Alex said, his eyes hard. Blake, try to contact command on Earth. Tell them we have an incursion. Class 5. I can't get a signal out. Blake cried out. They are jamming us. The Dominant is using some kind of static field. We are cut off. Alex looked around the bridge. His crew was scared. They were young. Blake had just graduated from the academy last year. Sam had never seen real combat. And here they were, facing a fleet that looked like it could eat the moon for breakfast. We can't fight them, Sam said quietly. Look at the screen, Captain. One of their cruisers is bigger than our entire space station. If we fire, we will just make them angry. We are the United Terran Coalition, Alex said loudly, making sure everyone could hear him. We don't fight because we know we will win. We fight because we have nowhere else to go. Target their lead ship with forward torpedoes. Torpedoes? Sam asked, surprised. Captain, they won't even scratch the paint on a ship that size. No, Alex agreed. But it will get their attention. Maybe it will make them pause long enough for the Mars colony to evacuate. Fire when ready. The Vigilant shuddered as it launched 2 torpedoes. They streaked through the darkness, tiny sparks of light against the massive hull of the alien lead ship. The torpedoes hit the alien shields and exploded. It was a small flash, barely noticeable against the size of the enemy. A moment later, a beam of green energy shot out from the Dominion fleet. It didn't hit the Vigilant. It hit a large asteroid nearby. The asteroid, which was the size of a small city, didn't just break, it vanished. It was vaporized instantly. The bridge crew stared in horror. They weren't aiming for us, Sam whispered. They were showing us what they can do. Move us. Alex yelled. Evasive maneuvers. Get us behind the cover of the belt. We need to lose them in the rocks. The Vigilant turned sharply, its engines roaring. The small ship darted toward a dense cluster of asteroids. The alien ships didn't follow immediately. They seemed to be moving with a slow, deliberate purpose. They were in no rush. They knew the humans had nowhere to run. As the Vigilant weaved through the floating debris, Sam Foster looked at his sensor readings again. He frowned. The readings were strange. "Captain, I'm picking up something weird," Sam said. "It's not the aliens." "Can it wait?" Lieutenant Alex asked, watching the alien ships on the rear camera. "No, sir, look," Sam said, pointing to a graph on his screen. "The asteroids. They are vibrating." Alex looked. "Vibrating? We just took a hit." "The ship is shaking." "No, not the ship," Sam insisted. "The rocks themselves. The sensors are picking up a low-frequency sound. It's coming from everywhere. The entire belt is humming." "Is it a weapon?" Alex asked. "Are the Dominant doing something to the asteroids?" "I don't think so," Sam said. "The vibration is coming from inside the asteroids. Deep inside. It's like they are waking up." Alex stared at the screen. He didn't believe in magic, and he didn't believe in ghosts. But he knew that the solar system was old. It was very, very old. Maybe there were things buried here that even the aliens didn't know about. "Just keep flying," Alex ordered. "Get us to the other side. We need to warn the moon base. If they cross the belt, Earth is next." The Vigilant sped through the dark canyons of rock. Behind them, the massive alien fleet continued its advance. But as the Dominion ships pushed deeper into the belt, the strange humming noise on Sam's console grew louder. It became a rhythmic thumping, like a giant drum beating in the deep void. "What is that sound?" Blake asked, putting her hands over her ears. Even though sound couldn't travel in the vacuum of space, the vibration was shaking the ship so hard that it felt like it was inside their heads. Alex looked at the sensor screen. The asteroids weren't just shaking, they were moving. Not drifting, but moving with purpose. Small rocks were turning slightly, as if looking at the invaders. The giant alien ships plowed through the field, ignoring the debris, but the debris seemed to be getting angry. "They aren't just rocks," Alex murmured to himself. He felt a chill run down his spine that had nothing to do with the cold of space. "We have to get out of here. Now. Full speed to the moon." The Vigilant blasted its engines, pushing the ship to its limit. They left the main body of the belt behind, shooting out into the open space between Mars and Jupiter. But the humming didn't stop. In fact, it followed them. It was as if the entire solar system was waking up, stretching its limbs after a long nap. Alex looked back at the asteroid belt one last time. Through the rear camera, he saw the Zoldyck Dominion fleet slowing down. The massive ships were hesitating. The lead ship stopped dead in the water, surrounded by floating rocks that seemed to be closing in around it. "Captain," Sam said, his voice trembling. "I think we made a mistake. We thought they were coming to destroy us. But I think they just woke something up that was sleeping." Alex sat back in his chair. He looked at the terrified faces of his crew. He realized then that this war was not about human bravery or alien technology. It was about something much older. The aliens had come to take the solar system, but they had forgotten the first rule of nature. "Stay alert," Alex said softly. "We aren't safe yet. Not by a long shot." The Vigilant raced toward the inner planets, leaving the confused alien fleet behind in the dust. But the silence of space was gone. It had been replaced by a heartbeat. A deep, ancient heartbeat that was coming from the center of the solar system, from the blue and green marble that humanity called home. And it was getting stronger. The lunar base was a fortress of gray metal and reinforced concrete, buried deep under the dust of the moon's surface. It was called Sanctuary, and it was the command center for the defense of the inner solar system. When the Vigilant docked in the main hangar, the atmosphere was heavy with tension. Mechanics ran back and forth, shouting orders, while soldiers checked their rifles. The alarms were still blaring, a rhythmic pulse that matched the headache throbbing in everyone's skull. Captain Alex Mercer walked down the ramp of his ship, his boots clanking heavily on the metal floor. He felt tired. His uniform was stained with sweat and grease. Behind him, Sam Foster and Blake followed, looking pale and shaken. They had seen the alien fleet, and they had felt the strange vibration that seemed to come from the rocks themselves. They needed answers, and they needed them fast. Commander Jordan Lee was waiting for them at the entrance of the command center. Jordan was a tall, serious woman with short black hair and eyes that had seen too much war. She didn't smile when she saw Alex. "Report," she said, her voice sharp. "We made contact," Alex said, skipping the formalities. "It's the Zoldyck Dominion. They have a fleet of hundreds, maybe thousands of ships. They ignored our hails. They vaporized an asteroid just to show us they could. But that's not the worst part." Jordan crossed her arms. "Define worst part." "The asteroid belt is humming," Sam spoke up, stepping forward. "The rocks are vibrating. It's a low-frequency sound, and it's getting stronger." The aliens stopped at the edge of the belt. "They seem confused. Or scared." Jordan looked at Sam, then at Alex. "Come with me. There is someone you need to meet." She led them through the heavy blast doors and into the main strategy room. The room was dimly lit, illuminated only by the glow of large holographic screens. In the center of the room stood an older man with messy white hair and thick glasses. He was staring intently at a screen displaying the asteroid belt. This was Dr. Aaron Price, the Coalition's top expert on xenoarchaeology. "Aaron," Jordan said. "The captain of the Vigilant is here." He felt the vibration too. Aaron turned around slowly. He looked excited, not scared. "You felt it, the heartbeat, excellent. It means the resonance is spreading." "Doctor, what is going on?" Alex asked, frustration clear in his voice. "We have an alien fleet on our doorstep, and you are talking about heartbeats? Explain." Aaron motioned for them to look at the hologram. It showed the solar system. "For 50 years, we thought the Galactic Council kept us trapped because they were mean. But I found something on Mars 10 years ago. Ruins. Older than the dinosaurs. I translated the texts, or at least, I tried to. They were warnings." "Warnings about what?" Blake asked. "About Earth," Aaron said. "The text said that this solar system is not empty. They said that Earth is not just a planet. It is a cage. Or maybe, an egg." Alex stared at the doctor. "An egg? You think Earth is an egg?" "Not literally," Aaron said quickly. "Think of it like a hard drive. Billions of years ago, there were things in this galaxy. Entities that consumed stars. We don't have a name for them, so I call them the Great Agony. They were too powerful, too hungry. The ancient civilizations couldn't kill them, so they trapped them. They put the source of the agony to sleep and buried it under the crust of a young, developing planet. That planet is Earth." The room was silent. The hum of the computers seemed louder. "So, you are saying there is a monster sleeping under our feet?" Jordan asked, skeptical. "I am saying that Earth is a prison," Aaron corrected. "And the life on Earth, the bacteria, the plants, the humans, we evolved on top of the prison door. Our energy, our bioelectricity, acts like a lock. We are the key that keeps the door shut. As long as life thrives on Earth, the entity sleeps. But if someone disturbs the balance, the hologram on the screen flashed red. A warning message appeared. Report. Jordan barked at a technician. Ma'am. The Dominion fleet has launched drones. The technician shouted. They are heading toward Mars. Specifically, they are targeting Phobos, one of the moons. Aaron's face went pale. No. Phobos isn't just a moon. It's an anchor point. It's part of the lock. On the screen, they watched the small red dots of the alien drones approach the gray rock of Phobos. The aliens wanted to harvest the moon for resources, breaking it down to fuel their war machines. They didn't know what they were touching. Stop them! Alex yelled. Fire the lunar defense railguns. Firing. Jordan ordered. The massive guns on the surface of the moon rotated and sent streaks of metal into space. They hit a few of the drones, destroying them in bursts of fire. But there were too many. The drones reached the surface of Phobos. They began to drill. Huge beams of energy cut into the small moon. Suddenly, the hologram flickered. The image of Phobos distorted. Then, a sound tore through the base. It wasn't a noise they could hear with their ears, it was a sound they felt in their teeth and in their bones. Every screen in the room shattered at once, exploding in sparks of glass and electricity. The lights went out, leaving only the red emergency lights glowing. Report. Jordan shouted, holding onto a table as the floor shook. Phobos is gone. Sam yelled, looking at a handheld tablet. It didn't explode. It just dissolved. It turned into dust. But the vibration, Aaron whispered, clutching his chest. It's awake. The anchor is broken. Alex ran to the window, looking out at the dark sky. From the moon, Earth looked like a beautiful blue and white marble hanging in the void. But now, something was happening. The blue color was darkening. It was turning a deep, bruised purple. The entity, Aaron said, his voice shaking. It knows the cage is damaged. It is waking up. And it is hungry. In the command center, the communication systems were going crazy. Every channel was filled with static, but underneath the static, there was a voice. It wasn't speaking words. It was screaming. It was a scream of pure, ancient rage. The aliens, Alex said, realizing the danger. The Dominion fleet. They are right next to the source. On the external cameras, they could see the Dominion ships. The massive alien cruisers were no longer moving forward. They were turning. They were trying to flee. But it was too late. The purple light from Earth expanded, moving faster than light. It washed over the asteroid belt, then over Mars, and then it hit the Dominion fleet. The alien ships didn't explode. They began to rust. Metal that was strong enough to survive re-entry into a sun crumbled like dry leaves. The bioorganic parts of the ships, the living tissue the aliens used to control their vessels, started to writhe and scream. They are being erased, Sam whispered, horrified. It's not a weapon. It's just, reality changing. The reality of that entity doesn't allow their ships to exist. Alex watched as the pride of the Dominion fleet, the massive dreadnoughts that terrified him just an hour ago, turned into drifting clouds of dust. The silence returned, but it was a different kind of silence. It was the silence of a graveyard. We have to get to Earth, Aaron said suddenly. We have to go to the surface. Now. Why, Jordan asked. If the planet is waking up to eat us, shouldn't we run? No, Aaron said, looking at the captain and the commander. We are the stabilizers. The entity recognizes us. We are part of the lock. If we are close to the center, we might be able to communicate with it. If we run, we are just dust. If we go back, we might survive. Alex looked at his crew. He looked at Blake, who was shaking with fear, and Sam, who was staring at the destruction of the alien fleet with wide eyes. He knew Aaron was right. There was nowhere to run. The entire solar system was the domain of this awakening thing. Prepare the shuttle, Alex ordered Jordan. We are going home. But we aren't going to surrender. We are going to remind this planet whose side it is on. Jordan nodded. She turned to her officers. You heard the captain. Get the ship ready. We are going to Earth. As they ran back to the hangar, the ground continued to shake. The purple light in the sky swirled like a storm. The Dominion was gone, but something far worse had taken their place. The solar system was alive, and it was remembering why it had slept for so long. And for the first time in human history, the people of Earth were not the masters of their domain. They were the children, and their mother was very, very angry. The shuttle dropped out of the sky like a stone, its engines screaming as it fought against the turbulent atmosphere. Inside the cabin, the shaking was violent. Every bolt and panel rattled, making a deafening noise. Through the small, round windows, the sky was not the familiar blue that humans had known for thousands of years. It was a swirling, bruised purple, filled with heavy clouds that flashed with silent, internal lightning. Captain Alex Mercer held onto his safety harness with a white-knuckled grip. Beside him, Dr. Aaron Price was muttering calculations under his breath, his eyes fixed on a tablet that was flickering wildly. Commander Jordan Lee sat across from them, checking her pistol with calm, practiced movements, though her face was pale. Structural integrity is failing, the pilot shouted over the intercom. The winds are unnatural. They are pushing us down, but they aren't wind. They are pressure waves. Just get us to the ground. Alex yelled back. Anywhere flat. We are passing over the Atlantic. The pilot cried out. Suddenly, the shuttle lurched to the side, nearly spinning out of control. A massive tendril of glowing, hard light energy shot up from the ocean below. It was hundreds of feet thick, reaching into the sky like a pillar of a temple. It missed the shuttle by only a few hundred yards, but the heat was intense. For a second, the cabin was as bright as the sun. What was that? Sam Foster screamed from the back, clutching his headset. The planet is fighting back, Aaron said, his voice filled with a terrifying wonder. The Dominion fleet is in orbit. The planet is reaching up to swat them. Can it see us? Blake asked, her eyes wide with fear. We are on its skin, Aaron said. It knows we are here. But I don't think it knows we are not the enemy. Not yet. The shuttle broke through the cloud layer. Below them, the ocean was churning, waves as tall as mountains crashing against each other. But ahead, the coastline of what used to be the eastern United States was visible. The pilot aimed for a stretch of land near the old ruins of New York City. With a bone-jarring thud, the shuttle skidded across the ground, tearing up trees and earth before coming to a stop in a field of tall grass. The hatch hissed open, and the team jumped out, stumbling onto the solid ground. The air smelled different, like ozone and ancient dust. Alex looked up. The sight stole the breath from his lungs. The sky was dominated by the alien fleet. The massive Zilduk ships were hovering in the upper atmosphere, firing their green beams down at the surface. But for every beam they fired, the Earth answered. Giant roots made of stone and magma burst from the ground, piercing the hulls of the enemy ships. The clouds swirled into giant fists, smashing the alien cruisers out of the sky. "It's a massacre," Jordan whispered, lowering her weapon. "No," Alex corrected, watching a Dominion dreadnought the size of a city crumble as a massive vortex of water and wind sucked it into the ocean. "It's an execution." Suddenly, a message came through on Alex's wrist communicator. It was a distress signal, but it was on the emergency channel used by the United Terran Coalition. "This is Alpha 1 to anyone on the ground. We are pinned down in Sector 4. The aliens are landing ground troops. They are trying to set up a drill. Requesting immediate assistance." Alex looked at Jordan. "We can't let them land. If they start drilling here, in the populated areas, the planet might destroy everything to stop them. We have to help the ground troops." "Agreed," Jordan said. She looked at Aaron. "Can you shield us from whatever this energy is?" Aaron held up a small device he had built on the shuttle ride. It was a modified frequency modulator. "I can broadcast a signal that mimics human biorhythms. It tells the entity, 'We are you. Do not hit us.' It might work. Just stay close to me." The group moved quickly toward the city ruins. The streets were cracked and filled with debris. As they ran, the sky darkened further. A shadow fell over them. Alex looked up to see a Dominion transport ship descending rapidly. It was heavily armored, bristling with guns. It landed in the middle of a central plaza, crushing the remains of an old fountain. The ramp of the transport lowered, and dozens of Zilduk soldiers marched out. They were tall, encased in dark armor that looked like insect shells. They held weapons that hummed with deadly energy. They moved with frightening speed, their red eyes scanning for threats. "Take cover!" Alex shouted. They hid behind the remnants of a concrete wall. The alien soldiers began to fire at the nearby human defensive positions. Alex could see a squad of human soldiers, dressed in battle armor, returning fire. Their bullets bounced off the alien armor, doing little damage. "We need to flank them," Jordan said. "Alex, you and Sam create a distraction. Blake, try to hack their communication frequency. Aaron, stay behind us and keep that shield running." Alex nodded. He checked his rifle. It was a standard pulse rifle, effective against light armor. He looked at Sam. "Ready?" Sam swallowed hard and nodded. "Ready." On Alex's signal, they stood up and opened fire. The blue bolts of plasma struck the rear of the alien squad. The aliens turned around, surprised. Their red eyes glowed brighter. "Fire!" the alien commander shrieked in its grinding voice. Plasma bolts flew over Alex's head. He rolled to the side, taking cover behind a burnt-out car. The car melted from the heat of the shots. "Blake, now!" Alex yelled into his comms. "I'm in." Blake's voice came back, playing a high-pitched feedback loop through their helmets. It should disrupt their sensors. Suddenly, the alien soldiers stopped. They shook their heads, confused. Their aim became wild. They fired at the sky and at the ground, unable to focus. "Now, Jordan!" Alex shouted. Jordan and her squad popped up from their cover and opened fire. This time, they aimed for the joints in the alien armor: the neck, the knees, the elbows. With the aliens distracted, the shots found their marks. Alien soldiers fell, screeching in pain. The battle was intense. The air was filled with the smell of burnt metal and ozone. But even as they fought, Alex felt a heavy pressure in his mind. It was the presence of the planet. It felt like a giant eye was opening above them. The remaining alien soldiers, realizing they were losing, began to retreat back to their transport ship. But as they ran, the ground beneath them shook. The concrete in the plaza cracked open. A giant hand made of earth and rock burst from the ground. It was crude but massive. It closed around the alien transport ship. The metal of the ship groaned and twisted. The rock hand squeezed, crushing the transport like a soda can. The aliens inside were silenced instantly. The hand then sank back into the earth, leaving only a pile of twisted metal and dust. Silence fell over the plaza. The human soldiers slowly came out from their cover, staring at the destruction. The purple light in the sky swirled above them, less aggressive now that the immediate threat was gone. Captain Mercer walked over to the pile of debris. He looked at his hands. They were shaking. He had fought aliens before, in simulations and skirmishes, but he had never seen anything like this. He had never seen the planet itself fight for him. One of the human soldiers, a sergeant with a bandaged arm, approached Alex. "Sir, we received a transmission from the alien flagship before the transport went down." It was a general broadcast. "What did it say?" Alex asked. "It wasn't a threat, sir," the sergeant said, looking scared. "It was a surrender. They are asking for mercy. Not from us. From it?" Alex looked up at the swirling purple clouds. He realized then that the balance of power had shifted completely. The aliens were terrified. They had come to conquer a primitive world, and they had woken up a god. "Tell them to stand down," Alex said, his voice hard. "Tell them to power down their weapons and prepare to leave. If they make one wrong move, the planet will finish them." "And if they refuse?" the sergeant asked. Alex looked at the crushed transport ship. "Then they don't need to worry about us. They need to worry about the ground they are standing on." Aaron walked up to Alex, looking at the sky. "It's listening, Captain. The entity. It can hear us. It is curious about us. It wonders why we are so small and yet so loud." "Let it wonder," Alex said. "As long as it keeps swatting the bad guys, I don't care if it listens to my thoughts. Just make sure it knows we are on its side." Aaron looked worried. "That is the problem, Captain. We don't know its side. We only know it woke up angry. And anger, it is not very picky about who it destroys." As if to prove Aaron right, a low rumble echoed through the city. The purple clouds began to spin faster. The air pressure dropped suddenly, making everyone's ears pop. The planet wasn't done yet. The awakening had only just begun. The United Nations building in New York was usually a place of arguments and slow paperwork. Today, it was a command center for the survival of the species. The large conference room was crowded with generals, politicians, and scientists. Screens covered the walls, showing maps of the world and the alien fleet floating in the purple sky. But the aliens weren't moving anymore. They were drifting, dead in the water. Captain Alex Mercer stood by the door, still covered in dust and grime from the battle in the plaza. His rifle was slung over his shoulder, but he kept his hand near it. He didn't trust the silence. Dr. Aaron Price was sitting at the long table, surrounded by computers and cables that were attached to a strange, helmet-like device. He looked pale and tired. General Tom Reed, a man with a gray buzz cut and a chest full of medals, stood at the head of the table. He was pointing at a hologram of the Earth. "We have them on the run," Reed said, his voice booming. "Their ships are powerless. Their ground troops are hiding. Now is the time to strike. We can use the planetary defense platforms to finish them off once and for all." "You don't understand," Aaron said, not looking up from his screens. "You can't just shoot them. The energy readings are off the charts. The entity, the thing protecting us, it's connected to the alien ships. If we blow them up, the shockwave might destabilize the entity's hold on the crust. It could crack the planet open." "We are at war, Doctor," Reed snapped. "We defend our home with firepower. We have the biggest gun in the galaxy right now. I intend to use it." Alex stepped forward. "General, with all due respect, we saw what the planet did to the transport ship. It crushed it like a toy. We don't need to shoot. The aliens are terrified. They aren't retreating, they are paralyzed. They are the enemy." Reed slammed his hand on the table. "They invaded us. They killed our people. We exterminate pests." Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered and died. The emergency red lights bathed the room in a bloody glow. The hologram vanished, replaced by static. Then, a sound filled the room. It wasn't coming from the speakers. It was inside their heads. It was a low, vibrating hum that made their teeth ache. Aaron grabbed the sides of his head. "It's here. The consciousness. It's breaching the room." "Who?" Commander Jordan Lee asked, her hand on her pistol. "The Earth," Aaron gasped. "Or whatever is inside it." The air in the center of the table began to shimmer. Dust motes swirled together, forming a vague shape. It looked like a person, but it was huge and transparent, made of fog and light. It had no face, just a swirling darkness where eyes should be. Everyone in the room backed away, fear seizing their hearts. The shape didn't speak with words. Instead, images flooded into the minds of everyone present. Alex saw the history of the solar system. He saw stars dying. He saw a darkness spreading across the galaxy, eating worlds. He saw this darkness being trapped inside the young Earth. He saw the agony of millions of years of solitude. Then came the anger. The shape projected a feeling of pure rage. It was angry at the violation. It was angry at the aliens for disturbing its sleep. "It wants to destroy them," Aaron whispered, acting as a translator. "It wants to consume their energy to heal itself. It wants to use the alien ships as fuel to fully wake up." General Reed regained his composure. He looked at the swirling figure with cold eyes. "Do it," he said. "Eat them. Destroy them all, leave no scrap behind." The figure seemed to hesitate. It turned its face toward Reed. A new feeling entered the room. Curiosity. It was asking why the humans wanted this. "Tell it," Reed said to Aaron. "Tell it we are the masters of this world. Tell it to obey us." Aaron shook his head frantically. "I can't lie to it, General. It senses intent. If you try to control it, it will see you as a threat. It will consume us too." Alex moved between the general and the swirling figure. "General, stop. You're playing with fire you can't control. Stand down, Captain." Reed yelled. "I am in command here." "You are in command of the army," Alex shot back. "But that thing is the planet. You don't command the ground you walk on." The figure in the room shifted. It focused on Alex. It felt his mind. It felt his fear, but also his determination. It sensed that he didn't want to control it. He just wanted the nightmare to end. A new concept flowed from the figure into Alex's mind. It was showing him a choice. It offered Alex power. It showed him a vision of the Vigilant flying across the galaxy, using the entity's power to destroy enemy fleets. Humanity could become the rulers of the universe. They could have revenge on every species that ever looked down on them. It was a tempting vision. For a second, Alex imagined the Galactic Council begging for mercy. He imagined humanity safe forever. But then, he saw the cost. In the vision, the Earth was a dead rock. The people were mindless drones, connected to the hive mind of the entity. There was no freedom. There was no individual life. Just the collective will of the great agony. Alex realized that this was not a gift. It was a corruption. No, Alex said aloud. The figure vibrated with confusion. No, Alex repeated, speaking to the entity. We don't want your power. We fight our own battles. We make our own mistakes. We are humans, not your puppets. General Reed pulled out his sidearm. You traitor. You're rejecting ultimate power. Put the gun down, Tom. Jordan shouted, raising her own weapon at the general. The entity sensed the aggression from Reed. The air in the room became freezing cold. The purple light outside the windows turned a deep, angry red. The figure lunged toward Reed, swirling like a tornado. No! Aaron screamed. He tapped a button on his console, sending a burst of electrical feedback into the hologram emitters. The disruption broke the entity's focus for a split second. General, drop the weapon. It reacts to violence. Reed looked at the swirling fog coming for him. For the first time, the brave soldier looked terrified. He dropped the gun. The fog stopped inches from his face. It hovered there, vibrating with threat. It's offering us a choice, Aaron said, breathing heavily. We can accept its help, and lose ourselves. Or we can send it back to sleep, but we have to pay the price. What price? Jordan asked. Technology, Aaron said. To lock it back up, to seal the cage, we have to reduce the energy output of the entire planet. We have to shut down the advanced grids. No more warp drives. No more advanced AI. We have to go back to a simpler level of tech. If we keep using high-level energy, it will stay awake. The room was silent. Giving up space travel, giving up the future they had fought for, it seemed like a defeat. But Alex looked at the entity. He saw the hunger in it. He knew that if they said yes, humanity would cease to exist as a free species. We choose to sleep, Alex said firmly. Send a message. Tell it to go back to sleep. We will handle the Dominion ourselves. The entity seemed to sigh. A wave of sadness passed through the room. But then, it began to fade. The angry red light outside softened back to purple, and then to a dull gray. The humming sound in their head slowed down and stopped. The lights in the room flickered back on. The hologram vanished. The pressure in the air released, and everyone gasped for breath. It's listening, Aaron whispered. It's going back. But the lock is weak. We have to be careful. General Reed sat down in his chair, looking old and broken. He looked at Alex. You just turned down godhood, Captain. I hope you know what you're doing. I know exactly what I'm doing, Alex said. I chose to be human. That means we are weak. But it also means we are free. Get me aligned to the alien flagship, Alex ordered the communications officer. Let's see if they are still feeling brave, or if they want to talk about leaving our solar system forever. The officer worked the controls for a moment. Channel open, sir. A voice came through, weak and trembling. It was the alien commander. We surrender. Do not let the rock monster eat us. We will leave. We will go. Alex smiled grimly. You have 1 hour to get your ships out of our sky. If you are still here after that, we won't be the ones you have to worry about. We are leaving. Thank you, humans. Thank you for mercy. The channel cut out. Alex looked around the room. We have a lot of work to do. We need to repair the planet, and we need to decide how we live in this new reality. But we are alive. And we are still us. Outside the window, the massive alien ships began to turn slowly. Their engines sputtered to life, and they began to climb away from Earth, fleeing the solar system as fast as they could. The crisis was over. The nightmare was fading. But the memory of the awakening would stay with humanity forever. They had looked into the abyss, and they had turned away. The weeks that followed the awakening, as people called it, were the strangest in human history. The purple skies had faded back to the familiar blue, but the air felt different. It was heavier, as if the atmosphere itself was holding its breath. The Zoldyck Dominion fleet was gone, fleeing back into the dark space between the stars, leaving behind only debris and fear. Captain Alex Mercer stood on the bridge of a new ship, the Terran Guardian. It was a sleek vessel, built from the scraps of the old fleet but reinforced with new resolve. He was no longer just a patrol officer, he was the commander of the Sol defense line. His job was not to fight, but to watch. The ship was positioned at the very edge of the solar system, right where the asteroid belt began. It was the border. On one side was humanity, on the other side was the galaxy. Report, Alex said, looking out at the stars. Lieutenant Sam Foster, now his executive officer, smiled from his console. All clear, Captain. The sensors are picking up no hostile signatures. The debris field is stable. And, the vibration is gone. Is it? Alex asked quietly. Mostly, Sam said. Just a very low hum. Like a background noise. It feels peaceful now. A light flashed on the communication panel. Sir, we are receiving a transmission, the communications officer said. It's a Galactic Council signature. They are hailing us from the outpost near Jupiter. Alex took a deep breath. Put it on the screen. The main wall lit up. A creature appeared. It was a tall, thin being with large, dark eyes and pale skin. It was a counselor from the Galactic Federation, the same group that had ignored humanity for decades. Usually, these aliens looked arrogant and bored. Today, this one looked terrified. It shifted nervously on its seat. I am Counselor Vex, the alien said. Its voice was smooth but shaky. I represent the Galactic Federation. We request permission to enter the Sol system to discuss the recent incident. Alex looked at the alien with cold eyes. He remembered how the Federation had treated Earth like a zoo. Permission denied. Your ships are not welcome in the asteroid belt. But we must talk. Vex stammered. The Zoldyck Dominion has told us what happened. They say your planet came alive. They say it destroyed their fleet with a thought. This is a violation of galactic physics. We must study it. We must contain it. Contain it, Alex laughed, a short, humorless sound. You couldn't contain a storm, Vex. And you certainly can't contain Earth. The alien's face twitched. You do not understand. The entity you awakened is ancient. It is dangerous to all life in the galaxy. If it wakes up fully, it will not stop at your system. It will consume the stars. We are here to help you put it back to sleep. We have the technology. Alex leaned forward, his hands on the console. We already put it back to sleep. We did it ourselves. And we didn't need your help. Vex hesitated. Then, you accept the restrictions, you will ground your ships, you will stop your technological advancement. That is the only way to keep the beast asleep. The energy from your warp drives and your cities excites it. Alex looked around the bridge. His crew was watching him. They knew the truth. Dr. Aaron Price had explained it to them. To keep the entity happy, to keep the cage locked, humanity had to be careful. They couldn't strip mine the planet. They couldn't build massive, unstable warp gates that tore holes in reality. They had to live in balance. But that didn't mean they were prisoners. We have made an agreement with the planet, Alex said, choosing his words carefully. We will limit our heavy industry. We will stay close to the Earth. We will respect the balance. But we are not grounding our ships. We will defend our border. And if you or anyone else tries to come here to study or harvest us, you will wake it up again. Vex turned pale. You are using the entity as a weapon. That is madness. No, Alex said softly. We are using it as a shield. You see, Counselor, the entity is asleep because we want it to be. We are the key. Our minds, our presence, keeps it calm. But if we feel threatened, if we feel like we are being invaded, well, we might get angry. And the planet feels what we feel. The alien swallowed hard. Are you threatening the Galactic Federation, Captain? I am stating a fact, Alex said. Terran space is off limits. Not because we say so, but because the creation itself remembers why it awoke. It remembers the pain of the past. And it trusts us to watch over it while it dreams. Vex was silent for a long time. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a deep fear. He realized that humanity was no longer the weak little child of the galaxy. They were the wardens of a sleeping titan. To attack Earth was to commit suicide. We will respect your border, Vex said slowly. A quarantine zone will be established. No Federation ships will enter the Sol system without express permission. See that you don't, Alex said. Terran out. The screen went black. The bridge was silent for a moment. Then, a slow cheer erupted from the crew. It wasn't a loud celebration, but a release of tension. They had done it. They had faced the galaxy and won. Sam Foster walked over to Alex. Do you think they will listen, sir? For a while, Alex said. Fear is a strong motivator. But eventually, they will forget. They will get arrogant again. That is the way of the galaxy. So what do we do then? Sam asked. Alex looked out the viewport at the distant stars. Then we remind them. We build our ships. We explore the asteroid belt. We learn to live with the hum. We become strong enough that they don't need to fear the planet, because they will fear us. But we promise to limit the tech, Sam reminded him. We promised to limit the dangerous tech, Alex corrected. We didn't say anything about being smart. We are humans, Sam. We adapt. We survive. And now, we have the best home security system in the universe. Commander Jordan Lee walked onto the bridge. She looked tired but happy. Dr. Price just sent a message from the surface. He says the readings are stable. The entity is dreaming sweet dreams. He says it's dreaming of oceans and forests. Good, Alex said. Let it dream. We have work to do. He turned to the helmsman. Set a patrol course along the perimeter. Let's make sure our guests are actually leaving. The Terran Guardian turned gracefully, its engines glowing blue against the darkness. As it moved away from the asteroid belt, the rocks behind them seemed to shimmer in the starlight. They were just rocks again, cold and dead. But deep down, under the crust of the earth and the dust of the moon, something ancient shifted in its sleep. It felt the determination of the humans on the ship. It felt their courage. And it smiled in its sleep. The galaxy thought Earth was a trap. They thought it was a cage for a monster. But they were wrong. Earth was a home. And the humans were the only ones brave enough or crazy enough to live there. The stars were vast and full of dangers, but as Alex Mercer looked out at his solar system, he didn't feel small. He felt infinite. They had stared into the abyss, and the abyss had blinked. Engage, Alex said quietly. The ship jumped forward, patrolling the line between the safe darkness of space and the dangerous blue light of home. The Terran space was off limits, and the galaxy finally understood why. It wasn't because of what was sleeping under the ground. It was because of what was walking on top of it. Humanity was awake, and they were not going back to sleep.